now we're in phase 2. I almost felt bad telling them that the first rounds weren't perfect. Like, how many fittings do you normally have online with the people that you're working with? Hi!
Hey!
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Awesome. So in the first round, number 3 was the best, right?
Yep.
And then, okay, so I've got the second round. So when I put on 1, for example, and I tighten it, it's like it tightens, here, I'll show you. It tightens just above, kind of, like I don't really have a wrist, but I almost do. It tightens just above that, and if it tightened just below it, I feel like I'd be able to keep it on better, like have a bit more grab.
Okay.
So that was number 1, and then I think number 2, let's see, number 2. And number 2 already felt a lot more comfortable, because it felt like there was, it just feels like softer. I can get my stump in even more. So yeah, 2 is by far the most comfortable one. And so like in the inner panel here for 2, right here where it kind of curves like this is really nice. I would almost want it down just a little bit more because it's just above where my wrist is. But if it's below, then I feel like I could just hang on to it better. So this could go down a little bit to there maybe. But 2 by far feels really nice. Really good.
Yeah, just the contour of it.
It's really nice. Really nice. Like it's almost perfect. And like it feels really good. Yeah, it just wants to be more up in there and a little bit more grab below the wrist. Well, and the other thing, I remember this from a long time ago when I was younger with one of my prosthetics. I remember it didn't fit quite right, and I would have a lot of tension in my arm because I was trying to hold on to it so it didn't fall off. So that's another thing I'm trying to think, like, okay, I don't want to have to be constantly flexing so it doesn't fall off because that'll cause, so. But
you don't want to work hard to keep your
arm on. Yeah.
It should suspend easily on you.
Yeah. But we're getting so close. Like, I think, yeah, I'm excited to see if this one will work without a cuff, like with those little shifts, because yeah, it's starting to become really comfortable and real and very cool.
It seemed like the height of it was pretty good too.
Oh yeah.
Into your elbow crease.
Let me double check that, but yeah, it's not even like.
Yeah.
I don't think it's getting pushed off at all as I move it. Just get her in there nice and comfy. Yeah, no, that's really
You want to
good.
go out to the side, do some flexing.
Yeah, that's good.
That's really good. Okay.
When I get to this point, there's like a little bit of pushing because this cushy bit of my arm pushes up a bit, but it's so minimal.
Yeah.
Like it's.
And throughout your daily life, you're not going to be necessarily in that end range.
I'm not going to be, because like, when do I ever do this to myself, But if I'm doing my hair or stuff, yeah, I don't feel any. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm curious, how many fittings do you normally have online with the people that you're working with?
Well, from start to finish, it typically takes about 2 to 3 fitting sessions.
Oh, sweet.
The first one's getting kind of, there's typically one that is the best, and then from there we make little minor edits.
Yeah.
And then between 2 and 3 rounds is when we really find the final socket.
So kind of like what's happening for me right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're making minor tweaks, and then next time, I think we'll hit final socket.
That's so cool. And yeah, it's just a good reminder to know that like this is a process, it's a learning process, it's not going to happen right away. We're building something online from, thousands of miles away from each other. It may not happen right away with your first fitting because you got to like collaborate, work together. But it's so easy. Like working with you is, I thought it would be way harder, but somehow you make it fun. So it's like, oh, great. So I can't wait to see what we come up with. Yeah, that's good. after our final fitting, if and when we find the final socket, how long at that point would it be to get the final arm?
I would say about 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
Depending on how much backlog. Right now we have a lot of final arms that we need to generate. But
Cool.
in the fitting session that we hit final socket, we go into a 20-minute wear test. So for 20 minutes, you'll wear the socket straight for 20 minutes and just see if there's any pinching, fatigue, any skin breakdown or anything like that.
Cool.
Once we confirm final socket after the 20-minute wear test, then we start the production for your TrueLimb.
I can't wait. And,
thank you, Alexis. It was a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, so good. We'll see you next time. Okay, let me kind of debrief what's happened so far. So the first episode that you saw, like last week or the week before, was the first fitting of all the sockets and the 3D scanning and everything. But now we're in phase 2. Will and I got to go through the second set of sockets. We got to go through the second set of sockets and we're getting even closer. So socket number 2 from the second set was a nice fit. There's just a couple adjustments that he's gonna make, kind of moving down the first clenching point down a little bit below where my wrist would be, and moving up the inner panel and a couple other things. So that's really exciting. I just wanted to jump on and just like remind folks that if you are getting a prosthetic arm or if you are getting any kind of adaptive tool made for you and your body, and if the first try feels funny or not good or it just doesn't quite work, that sucks. It really, really sucks because you're excited and you want it to happen right away. But I think in a world where, you know, we are still working on building really good adaptive tools for people, it's still a process, it's not perfected yet. I think it will be a longer process than perhaps we would want. And I say this because I think even I got into that, like, I fell into the trap of like being like, okay, I'm gonna find my arm in this first fitting, yay. And I got really excited that one of them would work. And then when they weren't perfect, there was a part of me that felt a bit deflated and like almost a bit discouraged. That's okay because I get to work with this great team. We got to find new ways. They took my suggestions, they listened to me, they made those changes. And I also like, this is so funny, but like well, it's not funny because I think it's pretty common, but I almost felt bad telling them that the first rounds weren't perfect because I was like, oh, they're gonna have to do so much more work to find a good fit, and like I'm making more work for them and I'm causing stress and I'm being too demanding. You know, that feeling that we have sometimes when we're getting these incredible, expensive, custom-made tools for our bodies. Yeah, I don't know, I just feel that guilt or that like I don't want to be a burden to people. But luckily this morning I woke up in a mood where I could shake that off and be like, no, hang on, like they love doing this stuff. Like I just talked to Will, you know, and this is what he loves to do. And so, and he also said it usually takes between 2 and 3 socket fittings to find the perfect arm. And so that alone made me feel so much better. Yeah, I just want to remind you that like, you don't have to feel that way. You can ask for what you need. And if you ever need that reminder, I'm here to remind you that like you can ask for what you need, you can ask for changes, you can get the right thing for your body, you deserve the right thing, and you're not a burden, you're not bad, you're not being, you know, extra or whatever. You're just getting what you deserve, and that is good tools for your already perfect body. And if you work with a team like this, then you get that, you know? And there's tons of great prosthetists and people in the world doing amazing work. There's some not so great ones, but there's a lot more really good ones. And I'm also always willing to talk about this stuff. Like if you ever want to reach out and just chat about your journeys or comment down below or anything, I love talking about what people are experiencing, what they're going through, just because I think the more we share these stories, the more awareness we get out there, and the more that, you know, people know that they can really be an active part of this process. And if they are feeling like bad or like a burden, maybe it's the people they're working with and not them, and they can find somebody else to work with. So I made a little YouTube short and I put it on my channel, asking people to help me figure out which color to pick. Here are the 4 different skin tones. They look extremely similar, but that's fine. But I'm gonna go with this one. Pardon me, E4. Yeah, so that's gonna be the color of my TrueLimb, so we'll see how that works out. Anyway, this is a lovely conversation. I'm so happy that you joined me for it. Thank you for being here, and a huge shout out to my incredible patrons for supporting this work and helping me do what I do. It means more than you know, so thank you so much. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you subscribe to STEM Kitchen on YouTube. You can also support me on Patreon if you want to. And yeah, to be continued with the TrueLimb prosthetic journey. Thanks for being here. Bye!
STEM Kitchen, gluten-free vegan eats, STEM-tastic treats.